Hello everyone, it's Anita, and in this video I'm going to give you a review of Preply, specifically what it's like to teach on Preply, so not from a student's perspective but from a teacher's perspective. I'm going to put some timestamps in this video. If you want to skip something, feel free to do that. And yeah, so Preply is a platform where you can teach. Well, most people teach languages on there, but I know that you could also teach other things like math. I was teaching German and Swiss German on Preply. The reason why I ended up there was because I was looking for a way to earn money while I was studying abroad in Finland. And I knew I liked teaching. When I was in high school, I was tutoring children and teenagers, and I just knew that I liked to explain stuff, and I like languages obviously, and I just felt like the best option for me at that time. I was looking for a platform where I could teach German. The only platform I knew before was italki, but there it's very difficult to get accepted as a teacher. They have two options, either as a professional teacher or as a community tutor, which would have been me, since I don't have a formal teaching degree or a certificate. They have these opening slots, and sometimes you're lucky and they're looking for new teachers in the specific language. And I kept an eye on that, and there was never an opening for German. So I ended up looking for other platforms and stumbled upon Preply. I'll start with the pros. And one pro is definitely that it's very easy to sign up. I think everything is very self-explanatory. You have to upload a video, you have to fill out, your description. For each category, you need to explain a bit how you can help someone. For me, for example, because I also offered, for German, you can also select what dialects you can teach. So for me, it was Swiss German. And then, sort of short explanation, like what makes you qualified to teach Swiss German, because this and that. And also, different things that you can fill out. For example, there's also a category in German, it's the Goethe certificate. For example, if students want to prepare for that language exam, there you could, for example, say you're a certified teacher for that exam, which I was not, but if you were, you could, you had these different options that you could specify. And so that was quite easy to do. You had to verify your identity, things like that, but there was no interview. There's not even a distinction between a professional teacher and a random person that speaks a language or wants to teach a language. So that was quite easy to do. The second thing I quite like about Preply is that they offer their own certificate. It's a how to teach a language certificate you can take on their platform. It's only valid on Preply, so I don't think you could apply to other jobs with that certificate, because it's their own certificate. But I thought it was quite useful for people that don't have any certification. They want to switch careers, start teaching a language online. So I think for those people, including me, it was beneficial to take it. It also means you can add that to your profile. If you don't have any qualifications, that's like I think minimum you could do, at least get that certificate. On that note, which is also good, is that they verify certificates and diplomas. So for example, back then I had my bachelor's diploma. I was studying for my master's, and so I was able to verify my bachelor's diploma, which doesn't have anything to do with languages, a bachelor's in social sciences, but it kind of verifies who you are, because I had that in my profile, there was a student, etc, etc. So it kind of is proof that, that is true. And there are people that might want to speak about the topics, about the subject you've studied. The next thing I liked is that there are different webinars on the platform where they offer that certificate. They also have some other videos and stuff up. For example, tips how to conduct a trial lesson, what you should think about when you want to teach children, tips for assigning homework. That's also a good way if you don't have a qualification to just educate yourself a bit, to get some inspiration. It just gives you all these tips and tricks and ideas that you can implement in your lessons. So I think that's a good thing. Obviously you don't have to do that if you have experience, if you're you know, a professional teacher, you don't need to go to those webinars or watch the recorded videos. But I think it's a good thing that they offer that. And another thing I quite liked is their Tutor Cafe. So that was like a Zoom meeting with all the tutors. I think it was like once a month, but I'm not sure anymore. So you could sign up for that and then go to that Zoom meeting with all the other tutors, and then they had these breakout rooms where you could go to your language, or I think they had one for general like teaching or something for those people that don't teach a language. And there, so in your breakout room, you could talk to the other tutors for me it was German, and exchange ideas or also concerns or just different things that people were asking, help each other out. For example, someone might ask, oh, do you have any suggestions for where to get good materials, or how do you deal with that if a student wants to do this or that? I quite like that because it's sort of, because you work by yourself, you're kind of self-employed, you don't have colleagues. But if you go to the Tutor Cafe, it's kind of like you have colleagues. You could exchange ideas, talk about work, and get to know other people that do the same thing. So I think that's a nice thing to do. I didn't go every single time, but every time I went, I just felt like it was a good experience. I also generally like the platform. The calendar, for example, shows you which time slots are more popular, so you could adjust your available time slots to that. You could sync it to Google Calendar. Never did that, and I heard that there might be some errors with that, so I don't know if I would recommend doing that, but I just know that you could technically sync it with your Google Calendar. I also like that money can be easily accessed. So I used PayPal, but there are also other options depending where you live, I think. It was quite easy to withdraw the money. Then the classroom that they have on the platform itself, I found that to be quite useful. There are these tools that you could use, for example, to note down errors, new vocabulary, what you want to do next lesson. You could also have notes that only you saw, the other stuff that the student could also access. So that was quite nice. There's a whiteboard. I didn't use that one that often. You can obviously also do the lesson on other platforms like Google Meet or Zoom, but I just found it a bit easier to just do it there, and I think it's also easier to verify that the lesson took place when you do it through their platform. I don't have complaints about the site. Obviously there are some things that were smoother than others, but yeah, I think that was to be expected. That's a big pro as well. I like that a lesson is 50 minutes long, which means that if you have lessons back to back, you have this 10-minute break in between. I think that's great because then you can take a break in between lessons, but it also means that you don't have to rush from one lesson to another. What I also liked is on Preply, they have this subscription model, which means that once a student subscribes to you, they will be charged every 28 days, and they'll get these like lessons that they can then book with you, which means you don't have to remind them, oh, you need to book another lesson, or you need to pay for a package or something like that. It keeps them, I think, more accountable because they are on a subscription. Obviously that doesn't mean that this is the best way for every student. I'll get to that in the cons, but generally for you as a teacher, it just means more security in a sense, because this student has a subscription that they will take a lesson once a week, and so that will also more or less happen in my experience, that will take place. Of course they can reschedule lessons, and yeah, there's different situations, but usually it just means, okay, you will probably retain that student for a longer time, at least in my experience. And the last thing I want to mention is that I like that they have a placement test for students, and if they take the test, you can see the results and prepare for your first lesson, because then you already know where they make mistakes. I would reach out to them in advance anyway and just ask them, oh, what are your goals? And just so I have some idea of what to prepare. So these were all the pros that I found on teaching or tutoring on Preply. Now let's get to the cons. So let's just start with the biggest con, which is the commission that Preply takes, because that is, in my opinion, way too high. Like they so first of all, you don't get paid for trial lessons, which I think they justify by saying that a student can get a refund if they're not satisfied with the trial lesson, which is why they don't pay you. I just think if the student doesn't complain, doesn't ask for a refund, you should get some of the cut, I would say. And the other thing is, if you've been teaching for a while, then it should be clear that you're a qualified teacher, that you're a good teacher, and that you should get something for a trial lesson. But yeah, so that's their policy, so you don't get paid for trial lessons, which can be very annoying if you're in the beginning and you only have trial lessons, of course, because you know you're new to the platform, and so that can be a bit frustrating because you're waiting for a student to subscribe so that you get paid. That's a bit annoying. Yeah, so they take 100% for the trial lesson, and afterwards their commission rate decreases with the amount of hours you teach, the different categories. So for the first 20 hours that you teach, they take 33%. From the 21st to the 50th hour, they take 28%, and so on and so on. I taught over 200 lessons, 200 hours. The commission they could currently take from me is 22%. And once you teach over 400 hours, it decreases to 18%. So they at least take 18% of your earnings of every lesson. And the only good thing is that trial lessons count as those hours. But yeah, that was, I think, comparing it to other platforms, that is an extremely high commission rate. And you also need to take that into account when you want to set your hourly rate. Definitely set your hourly rate high enough for you to actually earn something you can, you know, live with, because otherwise it's going to be very frustrating, because when you see that how much they take from you, so they're sad. So they always notify you, they send you an email once you get to the lower category. They send you an email saying like, you just got a raise, you know, congratulations and on this and this. But it's also funny because it's, yeah, you got a raise, but technically it's because they're taking less money from you. I understand why there is a commission. I don't disagree with that. I just think that it's set way too high, and I think it should be lower, and that you should be able to get to a lower rate more quickly. Then another con, like that's very technical, like the classroom sometimes has some issues. For example, you cannot hear your student or your student cannot hear you, but I think that's to be expected. So yeah, that I wouldn't worry too much about it. Another con is that your profile will be hidden if you don't respond to a message within 24 hours. So that happened during trial lessons for me personally. So when a new student or a potential student messages you and you don't respond to them within 24 hours, your profile will be hidden. But yeah, I think that's kind of to ensure that tutors respond quickly. Also, the last con I want to mention is the subscription model that I mentioned in the pros, but hear me out. No, it just, I think I like that it exists, don't get me wrong, but I think it would be beneficial to offer other options as well. For example, for students, just book individual lessons or to buy a package of, let's say, 10 lessons, for example. I think that would offer some variety, and because I feel like some students might be scared of the commitment they would have to take. I don't know, it's just an idea that I have. Yeah, or they might be shopping around more, so might try out different tutors to see if they which one to subscribe to, which is fine obviously, but I think the threshold might be a bit lower if you can just book individual lessons and then see if it works for you, instead of subscribing to this model where they charge you every 28 days. So yeah, that was my review. This is just a pro and con video of the platform. If you want my advice on teaching online or things like that, I can do a separate video. I just want to come on here and share my experience, share what I liked and what I did like about Preply. If you have any questions about Preply, about my experience, anything related to that, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, it would really make my day if you did that. Alright, see you in my next video. Bye!